Poe Chop reporting live from the truck. Just got a question from YouTube to explain the hours of service and to go over a logbook. So I just made this quick little brief logbook deal just to go over it real quick. None of this information is, actual stuff. This will be, all of this information up here will be blank because you won't know your mileage until you drive it. Truck number, just made up whatever your truck number is, trailer number, date, the company you're driving for. I just put Poe Chop Trucking 123 Blessing Drive, show you right. Don't sign it until the end of the day because you signing it certifies these logs. So if you messed up somewhere on your logs and DOT pulled you over and you signed it, you were saying that them logs is correct. But anyway, just created a fake bill of lading number. We're just assuming that Brookhaven, Mississippi, that's where I live, hometown. You don't want them scratches on there, but it is what it is. Anyway, obviously you're gonna start off in the sleeper berth unless you were out the truck. If you got a hotel, then that would be off duty. But if you're in the truck, it's gonna be sleeper berth. So you slept until 8 o'clock. You woke up, went down, dropped down to on duty, which is you need to show at least 15 minutes of a pre-trip. But for the sake of this, I just did 30 minutes. So show that, drop down, pre-trip where you're at, Brookhaven, Mississippi. And then we see we went up to line 3, which is driving. Boom, we on the way. And we stopped for fuel in Lithia Springs. Showed 30 minutes. Now with the new hours of service mandate, you can take a 30-minute break on duty, off duty, or sleeper berth. As long as you're not driving, it will count towards your 30-minute break. But I'll get into that in just a second. So we fueled in Lithia Springs at 3 o'clock. I just put 30 minutes because that can be fueling, going inside, getting you some snacks, whatever the case may be. People take a whole 30-minute break on the fuel aisle. I've done it too. It is what it is. Then we drove some more and we made it to McDonough, Georgia. We checked in. Then we started to unload at 5, went into the sleeper berth. Now this is going to be, don't take my word for law, but this is going to be based off of what your company does. Now on the e-logs, you'll be able to log it simple by clicking a button. But you need to log as you're doing it. So as they are unloading, I'm not unloading nothing. I'm in the truck in the back of the sleeper. So I went in the sleeper berth for 2 hours, got done at 7, checked out with the guard shack, got my paperwork, everything. I drove again, made it to Villarica, where I did a 15-minute post trip because everyone should be checking their trucks after they finish driving just to make sure that everything's where it needs to be. And I did that for 15 minutes, then went up to the sleeper berth, went over. How you calculate this, obviously, the total day, because we know there's 24 hours in a day. All of these numbers should equal 24. And you just calculate as you see 1, 2, up 8 hours. So 8, 9, because that's 2 hours of sleeper berth there. 9, 10, 11. Wait, did I do that right? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, 13 hours total for the sleeper berth. 9 hours of driving. And 2 hours of on-duty time. Then this on this side, as you progress with your days, it'll teach you about how to calculate recap. But to getting to hours of service and driving. So hours of service says once you start your clock, whatever time you start it. So if you started at 8 o'clock a.m., you have 8 hours. 8 hours before you have to take a 30-minute break. So from the time from 8 a.m. when you started your clock, you got 8 hours. Now once you start your clock, that's what starts to tick off of this 14-hour total. Driving only counts obviously when you're driving. So no matter what, you got 11 hours of drive time. But within those 11 hours of drive time, within 8 hours, you have to take a 30-minute break. Now, notice I said on that 30-minute break, before, you can do that on duty, off duty, or sleeper berth. All of those will constitute a 30-minute break. Now, that's good. Why is that? Because before, you had to show fueling on duty, and before you had to be off duty or sleeper berth to get your 30-minute break. Now, on duty fueling still counts towards your 30-minute break. So that is good. You can pull up. I'm not recommending anybody do this, but it is being done. You get to the pump, you fuel. That's going to take you 10 to 15 minutes. You're going to go inside. You're going to get your receipts. You're going to use the restroom. You're going to get you something to eat. By the time you come out, that should be 20 minutes. So you got 10 minutes left on the clock. I'm not telling nobody to take a 30-minute break at the fuel aisle, but it happens. But the good thing is, if you took 15 minutes of fueling, by the time you go inside and do all the thing you need to do, by the time you come out, your break is up. Because if everybody's fueling, by the time the next man is done fueling in 15 minutes, then by the time he goes in, you'll be pulled off. Everybody's happy. But before, people would fuel and then take 30 minutes in front of you, blocking you. Didn't like that. But I ain't tripping now because it helps out. If everybody does how they're supposed to, then everybody doesn't wait. So you got 11 hours total of drive time for the day. You have 14 hours total of drive on duty time. So you start at 8. 14 hours will be done at 12. Is that right? No, 8. At 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. At 10 p.m., your 14 hours is done. 70-hour work week, whatever an ELD will calculate this. Your computer will calculate all of this information. But if not, each day you will fill out this information. So because I worked 11 hours today, my 70-hour work week, I only got 59 hours for the rest of the week to drive, to work, whatever, on duty, off duty. On duty and drive time. But yeah, hopefully that helps. You got 11 hours of driving. Within those 11 hours of driving, you got to take an 8-hour break. 14 hours total on the clock. So whether that's on duty, doing a pre-trip, fueling on duty, because you need to be on duty because you're physically doing something. When you're fueling, if you're checking into a shipper, if you're physically unloading in the back of your trailer, then you need to be showing that 14-hour clocks. Once you start that clock, that clock's rolling. Now with the new hours of service mandate, I don't want to quote incorrectly, but I do believe that when you go off duty, don't let me quote you wrong, just know that when your clock starts, if you start at 8 a.m., your 14 hours is done at 10 p.m. That's 14 hours. You got 11 hours of drive time, so you got to take an 30-minute break within those 8 hours. That's that. I'm rambling. This is long. Hopefully it helps. Pro Chop out.